Why are there not more people talking about scammers getting scammed? The world of scams is a twisted game of deception. It's a dark and shadowy realm where trust is a commodity to be exploited and every interaction is a potential trap. Scammers, with their intricate plots and persuasive tactics, weave a web of lies designed to ensnare the unsuspecting. They thrive on the naivety and vulnerabilities of their targets, turning trust into a weapon against the very people who offer it. It thrives on exploiting trust and manipulating vulnerabilities. The con artists are masters of their craft, skilled in the art of psychological manipulation. They know exactly which buttons to press, which fears to exploit, and which promises to make. Their success depends on their ability to read people, to understand their desires and fears, and to use that knowledge to their advantage. We often hear stories of innocent people falling prey to elaborate schemes, losing their hard-earned money and suffering emotional distress. These victims are left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives, often with little hope of recovering what they've lost. The emotional toll can be devastating, leaving scars that last a lifetime. The financial loss is often just the tip of the iceberg. The real damage is done to their sense of security and trust in others. But what happens when the tables turn? What happens when the predators become the prey? It's a scenario that seems almost too good to be true, but it does happen. The very skills that make scammers so effective can also be their undoing. When they encounter someone who is just as cunning, just as manipulative, the results can be both surprising and satisfying. What happens when the master manipulators, the architects of deceit, become victims of their own cunning? It's a poetic twist of fate, a moment of karmic justice that is as rare as it is satisfying. These con artists who have spent their lives perfecting the art of deception suddenly find themselves outmatched and outmaneuvered. It's a humbling experience, one that forces them to confront the reality of their actions. Believe it or not, even the most seasoned scammers can fall prey to scams themselves. They are not immune to the very tactics they use against others. In fact, their overconfidence can make them particularly vulnerable. They believe they are invincible, that they can see through any ruse, but this arrogance can be their downfall, blinding them to the dangers that lurk in the shadows. The very tactics they employ to ensnare others can be used against them. Phishing emails, fake investment opportunities, and elaborate Ponzi schemes can all be turned back on the scammers. They fall for the same tricks they use, lured in by the promise of easy money or the thrill of outsmarting someone else. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but one that offers a valuable lesson. This ironic twist of fate offers a fascinating glimpse into the psychology of deception. It reveals the universal vulnerability to manipulation, showing that no one is truly immune. Even those who believe they are the smartest person in the room can be fooled. It's a humbling reminder that we are all human, all susceptible to the same weaknesses and flaws. It highlights the universal vulnerability to manipulation, regardless of experience or expertise. These stories serve as a cautionary tale, a reminder that vigilance is essential. No matter how experienced or knowledgeable we may be, there is always someone out there who's just a little bit smarter, a little bit more cunning. The key is to remain aware, to question everything, and to never let our guard down. These instances where scammers get a taste of their own medicine are not only deeply satisfying on a karmic level, but also offer valuable insights into the mechanics of scams and the importance of vigilance. They show us that justice can be served, even if it comes in an unconventional form. They remind us that the world is not as dark and hopeless as it sometimes seems, that there is always a chance for redemption and justice. The stories of scammers getting scammed are a testament to the adage, "What goes around comes around." They are a powerful reminder that actions have consequences, that no one is above the law of karma. These stories resonate with us on a deep level, offering a sense of closure and justice that is often missing in the world of scams. They remind us that no one is above the law of unintended consequences. Even the most careful and cunning con artists can be caught in their own web of deceit. It's a powerful lesson in humility and the importance of integrity. These stories serve as a warning to those who would seek to exploit others, showing that their actions will eventually catch up with them. And perhaps they offer a glimmer of hope, a sign that even in the murky world of deception, justice, however unconventional, can prevail. They show us that there is always a chance for redemption, that even the darkest actions can be brought to light. These stories inspire us to believe in the power of justice and the possibility of change, reminding us that no one is beyond redemption. One of the most classic and enduring scams in the world of cybercrime is the infamous Nigerian prince scam. This scam has been around for decades, evolving with technology but always maintaining its core deceitful premise. This scheme involves scammers posing as wealthy Nigerian officials or royalty, promising victims a large sum of money in exchange for help transferring funds. The story often involves a tragic backstory or a political upheaval, making the plea seem urgent and genuine. The catch? Victims are asked to pay upfront fees or provide personal information, which the scammers then use for identity theft or financial gain. These upfront fees are often disguised as taxes, legal fees or bribes needed to release the funds. In a delightful turn of events, a group of scammers found themselves on the receiving end of a cleverly orchestrated reverse Nigerian prince scam. This time, the tables were turned by a team of ethical hackers who decided to give the scammers a taste of their own medicine. Posing as potential victims, the team of ethical hackers contacted the scammers, feigning interest in their scheme. They crafted a believable backstory and played along with the scammers' requests, all the while planning their counterattack. They engaged in lengthy email exchanges mirroring the typical communication style of vulnerable targets. The hackers meticulously responded to each email, building a rapport and gaining the scammers' trust. As the scammers grew confident, they requested the hackers to cover a series of fabricated expenses, assuring them of a much larger payout upon completion. These expenses included fake legal fees, transaction costs, and other invented charges. The hackers, playing their part to perfection, sent the scammers fake payment confirmations, leading them to believe they were on the verge of a significant payday. Each fake confirmation was crafted to look authentic, complete with official-looking stamps and signatures. Of course, no such payment ever went through. Instead, the hackers successfully wasted the scammers' time, resources, and most importantly, their confidence. By the end of the exchange, the scammers were left frustrated and empty-handed, a fitting end to their deceitful endeavors. This reverse scam not only served as a form of poetic justice, but also highlighted the ingenuity and resourcefulness of ethical hackers in the fight against cybercrime. A self-proclaimed psychic known for exploiting vulnerable individuals with promises of love spells and lucky charms encountered her match in a particularly savvy mark. This psychic had built a reputation over the years, preying on the hopes and fears of those who sought her guidance. She claimed to have the power to change destinies, to bring love into lonely hearts, and to ward off evil spirits. Her clients, often desperate and at their wits' end, would pay exorbitant fees for her so-called services, believing that she held the key to their happiness. This individual, aware of the psychic's reputation, decided to turn the tables. They had heard the stories of people being swindled out of their hard-earned money and were determined to put an end to it. Armed with knowledge and a plan, they meticulously researched the psychic's methods, learning everything they could about her tricks and tactics. They knew that to expose her, they would have to play the part of a true believer, someone who was desperate and willing to do anything to lift a curse. They booked a session with the psychic, pretending to be desperate for help with a curse. The psychic's shop was filled with the usual trappings: dim lighting, mystical symbols, and the scent of incense in the air. The client walked in, feigning anxiety and fear, and told the psychic a fabricated story of misfortune and bad luck. They claimed that a dark cloud had been following them, causing everything in their life to go wrong. The psychic, sensing an opportunity for a big payday, eagerly launched into her routine, spinning tales of ancient curses and offering elaborate solutions at exorbitant prices. She spoke of rituals that needed to be performed, special items that had to be purchased, and the necessity of multiple sessions to fully cleanse the client's aura. Each solution came with a hefty price tag, but the client, playing the role of the gullible victim to perfection, agreed to every demand. The client, playing the role of the gullible victim to perfection, agreed to every demand, even insisting on purchasing the most expensive remedies. They nodded along, expressing gratitude and relief at the psychic's promises of a brighter future. The psychic, seeing the money rolling in, became more and more confident, weaving even more elaborate tales to justify the high costs. However, instead of real money, the client paid the psychic with counterfeit bills. These bills were meticulously crafted to look genuine, but they were nothing more than worthless paper. The psychic, blinded by her greed, didn't notice the difference and eagerly accepted the payment, thinking she had made a fortune. They even went the extra mile, planting fake testimonials and spreading rumors about the psychic's extraordinary powers to lure in more unsuspecting victims. They created a web of deception, making it seem as though the psychic's powers were real and that she had helped countless people. This brought in a wave of new clients, all eager to pay for her services, further inflating her ego and sense of invincibility. The psychic, blinded by greed, remained oblivious to the scheme until it was too late. She continued to count her money, unaware that it was all fake, and basked in the praise of her new clients. It wasn't until she tried to use the counterfeit bills that she realized something was wrong. The shock and confusion on her face were evident as she finally understood that she had been duped. She had become the victim of her own game, outsmarted by someone who understood her tactics all too well. The tables had turned, and the psychic, who had spent years deceiving others, was now the one who had been deceived. It was a fitting end for someone who had built their life on lies and manipulation, a reminder that sometimes even the most cunning can be outsmarted. Ponzi schemes, notorious for their promise of high returns with little to no risk, rely on a constant influx of new investors to pay off older ones. These pyramid-like structures are inherently unsustainable and inevitably collapse, leaving countless victims in their wake. In a case of poetic justice, a seasoned Ponzi schemer found himself lured by the allure of easy money. He invested a significant portion of his ill-gotten gains into another, seemingly more lucrative Ponzi scheme. Blinded by his own greed and the belief in his invincibility, he failed to recognize the telltale signs of the scam. He encouraged his network of investors to join him, further solidifying his commitment to the scheme. As the inevitable collapse approached, the schemer found himself not only facing legal repercussions for his own fraudulent activities, but also suffering substantial financial losses as a victim of a scam he himself perpetuated. This ironic turn of events underscores the perilous nature of greed and the cyclical nature of deception.